DNA of the only human remains ever found. In Beringia puzzles. Researchers. A single skeleton. That is all researchers have ever found in Beringia. One human set of remains from an entire lost world that once connected continents. And when scientists finally decoded the DNA, it did not confirm what we thought about the first Americans. It complicated everything. Picture a land bridge the size of a continent, stretching between what is now Siberia and Alaska. For thousands of years during the Ice Age, sea levels were lower, exposing this massive corridor called Beringia. It was not just a narrow strip of land people hurried across. It was a vast, cold grassland ecosystem filled with mammoths, bison, and predators. And somehow, from all the humans who must have passed through or lived there, we have found only one set of remains. That fact alone is unsettling. Entire populations vanished without leaving a cemetery, a village, or even scattered bones behind. Beringia, the lost Ice Age, world. Beringia was not a frozen wasteland the way people often imagine it. It was dry, windy, and harsh, but also biologically rich. During the last glacial maximum around 20,000 years ago, massive ice sheets locked up ocean water, lowering sea levels and exposing this land bridge. For years, researchers assumed humans simply crossed it quickly on their way into the Americas. But new evidence suggests some groups may have stayed there for thousands of years, isolated from both Asia and North America. That idea, known as the Beringian standstill hypothesis, proposes that the ancestors of Native Americans paused in Beringia, genetically diverging from Asian populations before moving south. It sounds straightforward, but genetics rarely is. The real twist came when scientists examined the only confirmed ancient human remains from that region and discovered DNA patterns that did not perfectly align with earlier models. The Upward Sun River discovery. In 2013, archaeologists working near the Tanana River in Alaska uncovered something extraordinary at a site later known as Upward Sun River. Beneath the soil lay the cremated remains of a 3-year-old child and the buried remains of 2 infants. One of those infants, dating back about 11,500 years, provided the genome that shook the scientific community. When researchers sequenced her DNA, they found that she belonged to a previously unknown population, now called the ancient Beringians. This group split from other Native American ancestors around 20,000 years ago. That means for thousands of years, there were at least 2 genetically distinct groups in the far north. One eventually spread throughout the Americas. The other appears to have disappeared. The realization is both thrilling and sobering. Thrilling because it fills a gap in human history. Sobering because it suggests entire populations can vanish so completely that they leave behind only a trace in one child's bones. It makes the past feel fragile, almost like a story half erased. The genetic puzzle that changed migration. Theories. Before this discovery, the dominant theory suggested a single founding population moved south once ice-free corridors opened. But the ancient Beringian genome complicated that narrative. It revealed that population splits happened earlier and possibly within Beringia itself. Geneticists compared the infant's DNA with modern indigenous groups across North and South America. The results showed she was not directly ancestral to any living population. Instead, her lineage branched off early and later went extinct, and that detail forces researchers to rethink migration waves, timing, and routes. Did multiple groups move south at different times? Did some remain trapped by shifting ice sheets? Were there interactions we have not yet detected? When science replaces a simple arrow on a map with a web of branching lines, it can feel messy. But messy is often closer to reality. Human migration was not a straight highway. It was a series of pauses, detours, and survival decisions made in brutal climates. Life in isolation at the edge of the ice. Staying in Beringia for thousands of years would have required extraordinary resilience. This was a landscape of freezing temperatures, limited vegetation, and massive animals. Survival depended on cooperation, hunting skill, and deep knowledge of the land. The genetic isolation suggests these groups were cut off by glaciers to the east and vast distances to the west. Imagine generations growing up in a place that no longer exists, surrounded by ice sheets hundreds of meters thick. Over time, even subtle genetic differences accumulate, yet isolation does not mean stagnation. These communities adapted, they innovated, they passed down survival knowledge in oral traditions we will never hear. The DNA is not just data. It is proof of a society that endured one of the harshest climates humans have ever inhabited. Why only one set of remains? Here is the part that feels almost unreal. Beringia covered over 1 million square miles at its peak. And yet we have only one confirmed set of ancient human remains tied directly to this standstill population. Where are the others? Several factors might explain this scarcity. Rising sea levels eventually submerged much of Beringia under the Bering Strait. Any coastal settlements would now be underwater. Permafrost can preserve remains, but it can also shift and destroy evidence over time. The absence of evidence does not mean absence of people. It means archaeology is working against time, climate, and geography. It also means that one infant's DNA carries an enormous weight in reconstructing human history. What this means for the story of the first Americans. For decades, textbooks simplified the peopling of the Americas into a single migration event. Cross the land bridge, move south, populate 2 continents. The ancient Beringian discovery shows it was far more complex. It confirms that by at least 11,500 years ago, genetic diversity was already established in the north. That implies deeper roots and earlier separations than previously assumed. This matters because origin stories shape identity. They influence how history is taught and understood. Each new genetic finding does not erase previous knowledge. It refines it, sometimes dramatically. The questions that still remain. If one distinct Beringian population existed, could there have been more? Are there undiscovered sites now submerged beneath Arctic waters? Could future technology recover genetic material from sediments where bones no longer survive? Each answer seems to generate new mysteries. Science thrives on that tension. Every time researchers refine the timeline of migration, they expose new gaps in our understanding. And those gaps are not weaknesses, they are invitations to keep exploring. The Arctic is warming rapidly, exposing new archaeological sites as permafrost melts. That creates both opportunity and urgency. Discoveries may accelerate, but preservation windows are narrowing. The race is not just to learn more, it is to protect what little remains. A story still being written. The DNA of the only human remains ever found in Beringia did not close the case on how the Americas were populated. It opened it wider. It showed that even in one of the most studied chapters of human history, surprises are still buried in the ground. There is something humbling about realizing that one small skeleton can challenge decades of scientific consensus. It reminds us that history is not fixed. It evolves as evidence evolves. And that is why staying curious matters. Because somewhere beneath Arctic soil or beneath the waves of the Bering Strait, more pieces of this story may still be waiting. If this exploration into ancient origins sparked something in you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. The past is deeper than we think, and the next discovery could rewrite the map all over again.